I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas.
Ye chaiva sattvika bhava rajasastamasaschaye mataye vititan vidhi natvaham deshu te mayi.
Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Whoa.
What? Oh. Know that all states of being, be they of godness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am, in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me.
Trivir gunamaya bhavar evi sarvam idam jagat mohitam na vijanati mamevya paramavyayam.
Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible.
Devi desha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva prapadyante mayametam tadantrite.
This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
Namam duskitino mudha prapadyante naradama maya paritagyana asurabham ashrita.
Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me.
Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritinorjuna artho jigyasu artharti jnanisha bharatarshava.
O best among the Bharatas, all kind of pious men begins to render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute.
Tesham gyani nitya yukta ekabhaktir vishishyate priyo hi gyani nautyartam aham sacham mahapriya.
Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him, and he is dear to me.
Udara sarva evate gyani patmaiva me matam astika sahiyuktatma mamevanutamam gatim.
All these devotees is
All these devotees are
all of these devotees are doctorly souls, but he who is situated this knowledge of me, I consider to be just like me, also being engaged in my transcendental service. He is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal.
Bahunam janmante dhyanavamma prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma susurlabha.
After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
Kamastesta irita jnana prapadyante nyadevataha tam tam niyamamastaya prakrityani yatasvaya.
Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desire desires surrender into demigods and follow the particular rules of the regulations of worship according to their own natures.
Yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta shradayarchitam icchati tasya chanam shradham ameva vidadamyaham.
I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady, so that he can devote himself to that particular deity.
Sataya shradaya yuktas tasya radhanamihade labate chatata kamam mayavabhitan hitan.
Endowed with such a faith, he endeavored to worship a particular demigod and obtain his desire, but in actually those benefits are bestowed by me alone.
Antavatu phalam tesham tadbhavat yalpamedasham devan devaya joyanti madbhaktayanti mamapi.
Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the plants of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme plan.
Avyaktam yaktimapanam manyante mama buddhaya parabhavam ajananto mamavyayam anuttamam.
Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme.
Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha mudayam navijanati lokamamachamavryayam.
I am never manifest to the foolish and intelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and unfailable.
Vedaham samatitani vartamanani sharjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana karshana.
O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows.
Icharvesha samurtena dvanva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarvayanti parantapa.
O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate.
Yesham panchagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam tedvanva mohanyam mukta bhajandamam vidavata.
Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
Charamalana mokshaya mamasrityaya tantiye te brahmata vidu krishnam anyatmam karma chakyaram.
Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities.
Saribhutadi devam mam saryakyam shayeviduhu prayana kalapichamam te vidu yukta chetasaha. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation, of the demigods, and of all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let's see, so far we have got big masses of people coming here today. But I'm sure we have another chance to present this Bhagavad Gita on next Sunday. There are usually about 200 guests the most, which is quite a good number of people. So I hope we can especially make a presentation again on Bhagavad Gita. But today, of course, you are all very fortunate because you all came here on this Gita Jayanti day. Jayanti means the victory of Bhagavad Gita, or the appearance day of Bhagavad Gita. Just like Krishna appeared on Janmashtami day, so today his book, his words, the Bhagavad Gita were spoken, which is very, very essential. So, as we all know, and we have read it once before, that this Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all knowledge, and it's very practical. Many people ask themselves how to obtain peace, how to become happy. They simply have to read the words of Krishna here as stated. And anyone who studies regularly with great attention Bhagavad Gita, he will be purified from all the miseries and difficulties of this life. He will be sitting in a safe abode of transcendental knowledge, no matter who he is, if he's just sincerely studying this Bhagavad Gita. And in the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna again confirms, after already having explained many times, that this yoga system of bhakti, of love of Godhead, is surpassing all the other stages of religious or spiritual search and practices. And because it directly connects one in intense, loving devotion with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is also situated in everyone's heart. Ishvaram sarva bhutana vriddesha arjuna tishtati yantra rudhana brahmaya sarva bhutana yantra rudhana maya. That Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, and he's directing the ways of all living entities who are situated in these bodies, like in machines, yantras, machines, made of material energy. While the living entity actually is spiritual energy. We are all indestructible, we are immortal, we are full of happiness, we are full of knowledge, and we are pure spiritual energy, full of wonderful happiness and love of Godhead. And to love God and all the living beings, because everything is part of God, everyone, all the living beings, that is natural for us. And this natural process of reviving that God consciousness, that spiritual God consciousness, that is called bhakti, or the perfection of all yoga and meditation, and the actual purpose of human life. And that is very nicely described and detailed in scientific ways in this Bhagavad Gita, so we can practice it every day. So some may say, okay, but I have different tradition in my family. I know Bhagavad Gita is a holy book, but then why should I worship Krishna? There's also Lord Shiva and so many devas, so many gods that can worship, because it's my family tradition. But actually it explains here that when you worship God, the origin of everything, if you worship Krishna, Vishnu, there's so many wonderful names of God. The personal aspect of God is Krishna. Then, if you do that, then all the devas are also very happy and pleased. Because Shiva is ultimately not different from the Lord. At the same time, he's also worshipping Krishna, engaged in his meditation. And Shiva also, we know from the Puranas and the Vedas that Shiva appeared in this Kali Yuga in a hidden incarnation. Who knows who he was?
Shankaracharya.
Yeah, Shankaracharya. He was a leader of those who follow a kind of impersonal aspect of the absolute truth. And sometimes they worship many gods. But he appeared for that reason to bring the atheists and impersonalists back to the Vedas, because they had rejected the Vedas. Therefore Shiva appeared. And they thought he's impersonalist, he doesn't worship the personal aspect of God. And then Shiva, in the form as Shankaracharya, who lived 1300 years ago in India, he appeared more than 1300 years ago, and is still respected as great authority, great acharya, and great philosopher of the Vedas. He reintroduced the Vedas actually in India, because they were neglected for some time in such a nice way. He said, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam Mudamate. Why are you so foolishly engaged in so many other pursuits? Please, also, if you want the highest good, please worship Krishna, Govinda. Govinda is the name of Krishna. And then he also composed this famous glorification of the Bhagavad Gita, which is called the Gita Mahatmya. That is by Shankaracharya, a very famous song or poem in glorification of the Bhagavad Gita. And there he recognizes that the words of Krishna are actually able to give us the highest goal in life. And he even goes so far to say that even if you have no other scripture, no other book, if you simply have Bhagavad Gita, you will not miss anything. It will give you all the happiness and will help you to overcome all the problems of life. So therefore I will chant a few verses from this Gita Mahatmya. And first one it says, Gita Shastram Idam Punyam Yapatet Prayata Puman, which means if one properly follows the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, one can be freed from all the miseries, all the pains and anxieties of life. Bhaya Shoka Divajita, one will be freed from all fears in this life, and one's next life will be spiritual. We can see that many times people have so many things, and seemingly they are making progress, but then when they are fearful, how can they enjoy? Then they cannot even sleep properly. So when you are filled with fear, to become free of fear, you can read this Bhagavad Gita and you will be free from fear in this life and in the next life. And even Mahatma Gandhi said, whenever I was confused, I didn't know what to do next, I was in anxiety, I opened the Bhagavad Gita and I found new solace. That is also one of his statements. And many other great philosophers in all of history study Bhagavad Gita in so many countries all over the world. Just like Schopenhauer, great German philosopher, he said, I thank God that he allowed me to live long enough to read this book, because it is really the most enlightening book I've ever read. Just he was grateful for having lived long enough to actually come across the Bhagavad Gita, and he was so grateful. And then Goethe said, this book is supremely excellent. Goethe is very famous. And then American big writers, Emerson, Thoreau, all they said that this is actually showing us a way out of the forest of this material existence. So everyone who actually studies Bhagavad Gita, they say there's no comparison. So here also Shankaracharya, who is still considered such a great philosopher in India and abroad, although he appeared 1300 years ago, he's an incarnation of Lord Shiva. Shiva is a great devotee of the Lord. Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, Krishna. Actually, Shiva is the greatest devotee of this universe. So here he says, Gita Dhyayana Shilasya Pranayama Padasya Cha Naiva Sandhi Papani Purvajama Kritani Cha. We already quoted this today. And one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness. And by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. Normally, nobody can claim that the karma will not act on him. Many people believe that, or have believed it, but then they had to change that speculative point of view, because the law of karma is very, very strong. And hardly anyone can escape it, except those who take shelter of transcendental spiritual knowledge and develop God consciousness. And Bhagavad Gita is simply based on that. How to develop your last God consciousness. So therefore it says here, Maline mochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakri gitam ritasnanam samsara malanashanam. One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once, and the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, from him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. So now the Vedas Purana is stating again and again that Ganga Devi is not an ordinary river. It comes gushing out as a big stream in the Himalayas, not like a little rivulet. And normally a river first starts small. But it becomes very big out in the Gomukh in the Himalayas, holy place. Gangotri then next, all these holy places. Rishikesh, Hardwar. Once I was riding down on a wooden log from Rishikesh in the direction of Hardwar. It's a little too fast, I can't recommend that. But it's very purifying. When you touch Mother Ganges, you get purified of all sins. She's crystal clear. And she's very dear to Lord Shiva. Shiva is keeping her on his head. And she's also worshipping Lord Shiva. And she's a great devotee of Vishnu. And she's coming from the outside of this universe. When one incarnation of Krishna, called Trivikram or Gurukram, Vamanadev, he expanded himself and became as big as the universe. And with his lotus foot, he was cutting a little hole in the shell of the universe. And from the causal ocean, from the ocean of all causes and origins, a spiritual ocean in which Mahavishnu lies, one little drop came flowing into this world. And it mixed with also the Lord's personal spiritual form, because once he heard the glorification of his pure devotees, Krishna in the spiritual world of the gopis, and his whole body started to melt. And part of his spiritual body became also the Ganges River. And then there is also some other, so the Ganges River is a mixture of various spiritual substances which are totally purifying. And it flows down from the heavenly planets in the universe to the middle planetary system, like this Earth planet, and then goes down to the other planetary system. So in an inconceivable way, the Ganges comes gushing from the heavenly planets, where it's called Mandakini, not Ganga, but Mandakini, to this planet where it is worshipped as Ganga Devi. And everyone who takes Ganges water and offers to Supreme Lord gets purified. Anyone who touches Ganges, anyone who tries to go on the Ganges and dies on the way there, will also obtain liberation in this life. So pure is Ganges River. Ganga Mata Ki Jai. But here, Shankaracharya says, sometimes we may not be able to go to the Ganges, so we're not living near Ganges now, so we cannot take bath in the Ganges every day. But simply by bathing in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, which is called nectar or amrita, we become immortal, we become liberated. We rediscover our immortality and become purified of all the dirt of material life. Therefore, we should study and worship the Bhagavad Gita every day. And the best way to worship Bhagavad Gita is by hearing it attentively every day and studying at least one verse. But actually, you can also study several verses. So in this temple, we have mostly every evening also reading from Bhagavad Gita, because it's such an important book. So then, Shankaracharya continues, Gita Sugita Kartavya Kim Manyai Shastra Vishtarai Yasmayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padma Visrita. So here Krishna is called Padmanabha, the one who has lotuses on his body, on his navel. And this verse means, because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Padmanabha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one need not read any other Vedic literature. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. So sometimes people ask, and it is also said in many Puranas and in Bhagavatam, if you only read Bhagavatam, there's no need to read any other scripture also. And that is also true. So if you read either Bhagavad Gita every day or Bhagavatam every day, you don't need to read any other scripture. But if you read both, then you're really sure on the same path. So both are the essence of getting knowledge. But Bhagavad Gita is like the ABC, the basics. If you read Bhagavad Gita carefully, then you can relish Bhagavatam very nicely. So we have both books in Danish. We have several volumes there. You can see there in our table shop of Bhagavatam, translated in Danish by devotees who dedicated years of their life to translate and edit them, and beautiful paintings of it. And so the Bhagavatam, very, very holy book, and Bhagavad Gita, very, very holy book. So now it says, this one book, Bhagavad Gita, will be sufficient because it's the essence of all Vedic literatures, and especially because it is spoken by Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna, and Bhagavatam was spoken by the great pure devotees on how to on the activities of Krishna and how to serve Krishna. Because at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna recommends you simply worship me, you simply serve me, you simply become a pure devotee. That's all he says in the end as a conclusion. Sarvanamam parivyajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma shichaha. He said, do not fear. Simply give up all these other processes and simply develop pure love to me, surrender to me, become my devotee like that. Become Krishna conscious, and everything else will be included. You won't miss anything. Then how to do that is more elaborately explained in the beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam, giving so many stories of pure devotees who achieve perfection in Krishna consciousness. So these books perfectly complement each other. Then it is said, Bharatam Rita Sarvasvam Vishnu Vaktrat Vinisritam Gita Gangodakam Vidva Punajama Navidyate. One who drinks the water of the Ganges attains salvation. If you drink Ganges water, notice maybe you have to filter it there, but still it's pure, spiritual river. You will attain salvation. You will be liberated, maybe faster than you think. So one who drinks the water of the Ganges attains salvation. So what to speak of one who drinks the nectar of Bhagavad Gita? Gita Gangodakam Pidva. Bhagavad Gita is the essential nectar of the Mahabharata. Mahabharata is over 100,000 verses. And the most important chapter of Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita. So you can't save yourself the whole reading of Mahabharata. Of course, it's nice to read sometimes. But the essence of it is this chapter is called the Bhagavad Gita, the conversation, holy conversation between Krishna and his pure devotee Arjuna. So this is essential nectar of the Mahabharata, and it is spoken by Lord Krishna himself, the original Vishnu. He even confirms that Krishna is the original Vishnu. All the other Vishnu incarnations, they come from Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita comes from the mouth of Krishna, and the Ganges is said to emanate from the lotus feet of the Lord. Sarvapanishado Gavo Dukta Gopalanandana Parthavatsa Sudhir Bhakta Duktam Gita Ritam Maha. Now Sundacharya becomes very ecstatic.